All right, look at this COSO cube. It's great. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. All right. Now, as I mentioned, we have 3, 5, and then 17. So here's your 3. These are our 3 objectives, right? We need to memorize these. Operations, reporting, compliance. Nothing crazy. Just memorize those 3 words. Over here, this is part of the official COSO cube. Don't really need to worry about that. It's just there because this is part of the official cube. However, these 5 components, oh, you need to know and you will get comfortable with. I can bet you that in terms of memorizing it, I've heard mnemonics such as crime. Let's see, we can do CRIM, and then the E would come from existing control activities. I've heard other mnemonics as well. However you want to memorize that, please do. But in all honesty, this is the kind of thing where you just need to have it fully memorized to the point where you can write it all down on a piece of paper, right? So I recommend at the beginning of your process of studying, right, since we're pretty early in our lessons, get a double-sided piece of paper, right? A whole notebook, and every day, every night, hopefully more in between until it's all memorized, write everything down. And if you don't have it memorized, write it 5 times until it's seared into your mind. If that's the best way for you, or if it's flashcards, because I'm going to tell you, and it might sound a little harsh, if you don't have all the formulas memorized and all the things that we tell you to have memorized going into the exam, you're not going to pass. Granted, you can pass. Okay, I'm not going to say you can't pass, but I mean, it's just in my mind, it's crazy. Just have it memorized. It's for your best interest, right? Just memorize that these are the 5 components, and it's frustrating, right? It is absolutely frustrating, and I understand 1,000%. Why are we just memorizing much of? It's just a barrier to entry to become a CPA. I know, I get it. My job here is to make it enjoyable, to just to get you through it, right? What's the essentially required components to get you into and passing this dang test? So yeah, on this sheet, I want you to rewrite all the formulas, all of the definitions, everything you got to memorize, and it'll get you through the exam, and you'll be able to move on and happy. Hopefully, you're happy now. Always be happy. Never forget that. All right, let's dive a little bit into these objectives, the 3 objectives. You don't really need to know much detail about them, just have them memorized, right? Operations, these strive to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of an entity's operations. Additionally, it is important for an entity to focus on financial and operational performance goals and protect its assets. Reporting objectives. These relate to an entity's financial and non financial reporting, both external and internal. Reporting must be reliable, timely, and transparent. Pretty straightforward. And compliance. These are established to ensure the entity is obeying all relevant laws and regulations. Key takeaway, just memorize these 3 words. To be honest, I could have just had this slide with just these 3, but it would have looked a little weird. And hey, take a read through what it mentions here, but just memorize those 3. All right, now we're getting into our overarching big picture. We've got our 5 COSO components, and then under these, how it works is under each of these, we have the total of 17 individual aspects, right? Our attributes. Now, it's not evenly distributed. We will go through and see how many are under each of these. Some have 3, some have 4, some have 5. We'll see all of the components you need to memorize. Okay, under control environment, we have A, B, C, and we'll get to those in a second. Oh, we will. So, control environment, we need to memorize that. We'll see multiple choice questions mentioning tone at the top. Ethics, commitment to competence. The multiple choice question will say, which of these components relates to ethics and a commitment to competence and a tone at the top? Well, that is going to be our control environment. Having a solid control environment, right? Overarching, just solid, positive, whole organization. Super important, right? Just tone at the top. Management is ethical. Risk assessment by management. Again, you could just have a multiple choice question that will also list out maybe the attributes that within risk assessment and say, oh, which is the component that has this one in it. Risk assessment ensures financial statements are not misstated and the entity is not breaking the law. Here we address significant changes in an organized manner. If a question asks you which of these components affects significant changes and addresses them, that would be risk assessment. Information and communication systems, fair, accurate, complete, timely. I've heard people also use the mnemonic fact, ACT. Fair, accurate, complete, timely. Sort of like in an audit, right, or presenting financial statements. Everything needs to be relevant and faithfully represented. I'm sure if you've seen FAR already, that is triggering you a little bit. All right, so yep, and then within this we will have our under these we'll have our 17. We're moving along, making progress. Monitoring, right? Once you have your control environment and you are constantly assessing risk, well, you need a monitor for these controls and keep them sustainable. You want sustainable controls and report deficiencies when detected and obviously detect them when you can. Existing control activities, this includes policies and procedures to mitigate risks. Great. Move through here. Again, you can memorize this however, but I would just rewrite them over and over, right? Stare at the piece of paper, right? Control environment, risk assessment, information and communication, monitoring existing control activities. Write them over and over until you know them through and through. It's like I'd say even 3 or 4 pages. You have those memorized. So it's like you have the textbook in your head. You're memorizing all of the break-even formulas. You're memorizing all of the variance formulas, which that doesn't mean anything to you. It will for sure mean something when you get later on in our lessons. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.